Subscribe to our channel, Sindh TV News, and press the bell icon for the latest updates.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम नाज़रीन, सिंध टेलीविजन न्यूज़ जे पारां मां आहियां जो मेज़बान फयाज़ नाच। नाज़रीन, अॼोके हिन ख़ुसूसी सेशन में असां सां गॾु अमेरिका जूं ॿ नामियार फिल्म मेकर्स गॾु आहिनि, जन जो तमामु घणो तजुर्बो आहे फिल्म मेकिंग ते, ऐं उन्हनि सां असां ॻाल्हाईंदासूं दुनिया जे अंदरि फिल्म मेकिंग जा जेके नवां नवां टेक्निक्स आहिनि ऐं उनखां अलावा फिल्म मेकिंग जो जेको स्कोप आहे ऐं उन्हनि जे जेके एक्सपीरियंसिस उन ते गुफ़्तगू कंदासूं। अचो त असां सभई उनखे वेलकम कयूं। ॿई जेके असांजो अॼोको मोज़िज़ महिमान आहिनि उन्हनि में हिकिड़ी आहे मिस एलेक्स ऐं जॾहिं त ॿी महिमान आहे मिस मैरिया। So welcome you both here in Pakistan and especially in Karachi, the capital city of Sindh. And thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate because you have been very busy since so many days here. So before I introduce you, I would like you to introduce yourself. What do you do actually?
Thank you so much. My name is Alex Madigan, and I am an independent producer, film producer based in Los Angeles. I am also on the board of Film Independent and have been a part of Global Media Makers, the initiative that Maria created, and we'll talk more in depth about.
I am Maria Raquel Bossi and Senior Director of Education and International Initiatives for Film Independent, the organization that Alex just talked about. Film Independent is a membership organization, nonprofit organization that supports independent filmmakers in the United States. That support comes in the form of showcasing their work, giving training and mentorship and artist development to filmmakers in the United States. And most recently, we have embarked in an international initiative with the United States State Department and the Bureau of Education and Cultural Affairs to create this wonderful program called Global Media Makers to serve international filmmakers that are at a mid-career level. And the program has been running for 3 years. Mainly in the Middle East for the first 3 years. And I'm very excited that the program now is broadening the scope to include South Asia and Pakistan. So we are here to learn everything we can about Pakistani filmmaking and filmmakers. So it's great to be here.
What is that program actually?
The program includes many things. It starts with these trips that we do to learn more about the film industry in each country. And then we bring to Los Angeles mid-career filmmakers for a 6-week residency where they get to work with independent filmmakers in the United States and get an understanding of how the industry works in the United States for independence. But at the same time, they also get to develop a project that they are working on with the support and through the interaction and dialogue with esteemed filmmakers in Los Angeles, writers, directors, producers, who are reading the material and commenting on the material and asking questions about the material. Mm-hmm. And I think for filmmakers that is great when someone from the outside who doesn't know anything about the world you're talking about is asking questions. It kind of makes you kind of go deeper on what the film needs to say and do so that it's really, so that it can travel and reach a bigger audience at a global scale.
So Alex, you have been filmmaking and some of your films have been very popular. How do you explain how the film industry is changing day by day?
Well, I think the biggest change that we've seen over the past few years is just the advent of streamers. And with the sort of consolidation of distributors and the fewer number of films being released in the theater, there's been such a surge of films being released on, on platforms such as Netflix and Amazon. Obviously, are the two big ones. But there are also ones that are going to be starting up, such as HBO Max, the Disney Plus channel. But then there are other, outlets too, like Vimeo and YouTube, which are free and relatively, can reach a very large audience if the filmmaker has the initiative to put it out there as well. So I think the biggest change has just been access, really, and the fact that, there's so many different ways for you to exhibit your film.
So what about the equipments we use in the, because the cameras which were used in 70s and 60s, the quality of voice and all those equipments, the innovation in the technology, how it has impacted the filmmaking industry?
I think it came first. Actually, the digital revolution started with the equipment, and that allowed, that democratized the production of films, where everybody could pick up a camera and edit in their computer. And that's more like maybe 20 years ago. That's when we were talking that people were, well, there's these digital cameras and they don't weigh that much and they're not expensive, and you could pick it up and go shoot a movie. So that started a while ago. Maybe that's why now we're kind of focusing, now distribution is beginning to be a little more democratized, where you don't have to necessarily wait for the gatekeepers to give you a chance to show your work. There's all these channels that where you could show your work. So that's maybe why we're talking mostly about the digital distribution that has been going on for the last maybe 8 to 5 years.
So back to that program, what is the impact of that program?
I think
Because the people of Karachi and people of Sindh will be very interested to know that if that is a program where there is a program which will provide them opportunity to learn the different techniques and and work with the high profile producers and of the Hollywood industry, that will be a great opportunity.
I think the impact is multifold. It has many layers. So, and I didn't finish, now I realize I didn't finish describing what the program is. So after the residency, filmmakers return to their countries, and they are expected to be sharing what they have learned over there, and in some way become leaders to, help other filmmakers, and so that the program has kind of a ripple effect in a way. And then after they return, they also help us identify partners and filmmakers that could benefit from workshops that we will bring to each country. So come next year, we will return to Pakistan with workshops for the broader filmmaking community. And those filmmakers that go will help us design those programs. And the impact, we're looking at creating an impact that is not just measured in 1 year. You don't begin to see really impact unless you have been at least 3 years doing a program. And I began to see that when we did it in the Middle East, where now we have seen films being made and relationships, most importantly, being forged between filmmakers who in some cases are beginning to work together. And that is exciting, and I think that's the best impact we could hope for.
Why you are a filmmaker? What inspired you?
I grew up in New York City, and I had a lot of access to theater, and my parents were big theater goers, so that was really my first kind of performing love in the performing arts. And then that grew into really just a general love for movies. And when I was I was studying business actually, and I wanted to work more into I wanted to work in film marketing as opposed to just film production. But then I worked at a studio in film marketing, decided that's not what I wanted to do, so then I entered into production. But I just, I think I just really love the final product. I really do. I love going to movies. I love seeing them. I love talking with filmmakers, writers. I love working with creative people. I feel very fortunate I have a job that allows me that opportunity to work with people who truly have talent in telling stories. So that's exciting to me.
So Maria, you have been an academician too in the filmmaking, and you have also worked on the filmmaking. So what is the difference between two different jobs, as a teaching filmmaking and as a doing work as a filmmaker?
Um, I think it's very different. I think one informs
And,
the
what do you love more?
one informs the other. I love the most what I'm doing now, where it combines all of those things. So that's what I like the most right now. I taught for 7 years, and after teaching for 7 years, I realized that what I liked the most was really figuring out how people learn and creating curriculum, not necessarily being in the classroom. So I get to do that now at a larger scale. So that's fun.
The same work with different audience.
Exactly. and because I love trying to find out how people learn, if you are doing it with different people all the time, then each time is different because you have to figure it out every time. There's something that is basic, but some things change depending on who you're trying to
So
reach.
that experience will sharpen your teaching techniques.
I can't teach techniques these days, okay?
So, as this is a globalized world, as it has been portrayed, what is the impact of filmmaking on different cultures?
I think exactly. I mean, I think it's enormous. I mean, I think that we can all be really, I think, truly affected by films in so many ways. I mean, I think the best films involve us in their stories and educate us and inspire us, and I think and teach us about social issues, but in a way that's compelling and has a really strong narrative to it. So I think that the effect that film has, or like film content has, to teach people about social and have like some sort of social impact, I think is enormous.
I think I agree with that, and also it allows you to experience a world that maybe you didn't have access to. So I think film provides great access to learn and experience other worlds, to learn about other people, to get some insight on the positions of other people and get some deeper understanding of the world. And for me, that's the best thing that any medium or any art could do.
So, what do you think? What is the difference between a commercial film and documentary type of filming? Is there a difference?
I don't think there is. I think I think like commercial film, I think people usually think that a commercial film is one that's going to appeal to a wide audience and get box office and et cetera. And I think documentary filmmakers, or documentary films, they think that it's just for a small, intellectual group. But, you look at, like, for instance, in the specialized box office, last year, the biggest films that performed were documentaries. The documentary on Mr. Rogers and Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and those documentaries did exceptionally well, far better than so many of the narratives out there too. So, a documentary can be really commercial, I think, as well.
Yeah, I agree with that, and especially in the United States, documentary has flourished, I would say, as a popular format, maybe in the last 10 years, and sometimes in festivals such as Sundance, the most exciting work is being shown in the documentary section of the festival. So, and some documentaries can be very commercial, depending, on how they are marketed and exhibited and shown.
What do you think why this change of pattern has occurred?
Oh, the, in documentary, you mean?
Yes.
I think because documentarians are really experimenting and trying to once the documentary form, and it has been that for a long time, but it's becoming more and more. Once the documentary form became more and more cinematic and took a story or an issue or a person and told it in the most cinematic way possible, then the experience became better for the viewer and more accessible.
There is in LA there is a Universal Studio, but most of the countries do not have that kind of facility. So they go on the natural sites to film their movies or whatever their project is. What do you think? What is the difference between filming in a studio like Universal Studio and filming outside on the natural locations?
Well,
Is there a difference?
yeah, there is. I mean, the thing is that it's usually, if you're filming, if you're using a studio back lot, you're doing a film that has a very big budget, and and a lot of times you want to shoot. I just have to emphasize that the vast majority of movies that are made in the U.S. are not made in studios. They're made independently. Sometimes they're acquired by studios for distribution down the line, but most of them are made by producers such as myself, or producers who even make bigger films than I do that can get wider distribution. But they're made they're made financially outside this. The finance, the money aspect is not coming from the studios. So I think what you're talking about though too is you can build a house, an interior house on a soundstage, right? And which is what Universal would offer. I don't think they have. I think they have a very small back lot now, but you can build it on a soundstage and shoot there. And a lot of times filmmakers will want that because you can have walls that come up and you can get sort of more interesting, angles in terms of a camera. But most of the time it's shot what we call practically, which is in a home and an actual location, and you're shooting inside that house. So that's the difference.
Maria, what do you think? What makes a film the best one? Is it a script? Is it cost? Or it is editing? Or it is the equipments, cameras and all that? Or the director who makes the film?
It's all of the above. I think it's the coming together
Or the money?
of all those things that makes a movie great. But it will start definitely with a good story and a good script. But it's the coming together, that synergy between so many different arts. If they come together.
If we distribute the points or the marks for a great film, we have 100 marks. And how we will can distribute that? 10 marks are for the studio editing and 20 marks for the script. Can
that is very funny what you're saying, because it reminds me when I was teaching film. It's such a creative medium that I needed to find a way of evaluating work that it didn't seem subjective, which in a way at the end of the day is a little bit. So I made rubrics like that. Okay, 10 for the sound and 10 for that. But I wouldn't do that now. I had to do it just to make sure that I was somehow having a fair process of grading work, that in the end I knew it was very subjective. So I would not give marks. I'm sorry.
But because
Alex, you give the marks. You work.
because sometimes the cost, if we see the cost is a very popular cost, then the films have a great budget, and those films are considered. Already people think that if there is a good cost, then the film will be the good one. Don't you think that creates a impact or?
No, I mean, I think you see so many movies that have a tremendous budget and just don't work, when that happens. I think there are definitely movies that if you want to see, and that's not to say every big budget movie is bad. I mean, I thought Black Panther was amazing. I loved Wonder Woman. So there are definitely movies that are so beautifully crafted that live in that big space. But I don't think there's a correlation to a higher budget being a critical success. I think I think that we've seen so many examples of big budgeted movies that just for whatever reason don't work.
And the cost?
The budget? The budget?
Cost means the hero and the.
The cast.
Oh, the cast.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, no, you're totally right. I mean, I think that certain actors have followings and they'll bring audience to theater. Those are rare, and they're usually very well paid because audiences will, because their agents or their representatives will recognize that they bring in business. So so that can, but I don't think. Look, I think there are definitely actors that I see sometimes who I think have great taste in what they choose to do. So I will love to see their films, or I think they're doing very interesting work. So yes.
And there are producers who have great taste in what they produce, so then you look forward to seeing what are they doing next, or directors, but.
So it is very fortunate for me that I am talking to two women filmmakers, but most of the time we don't see women filmmakers in the industry. Why?
Because for the longest time, the people making the decisions of what movies get made and by whom have been men. So
why men? Because in societies like America and the Europe, the woman has already playing equal kind of role in the society.
Not in the film industry.
But that's my question. Why not film industry?
I don't know, but that is changing. We have recognized that it needs to change because, of course, there's no evil power here. If you're a man, you kind of have a certain sensibility and you are inclined to do certain types of stories, right? So those positions of power, I think, need to be changed or sensibilized so that they can relate to stories by, for, and about women. And I have noticed in the last few years in the United States, there are beginning to be deliberate movements to change that. But it's slow coming. And I hope that this time when I'm seeing these efforts, these things start moving quicker for women to start directing a bigger percentage of the movies that get made in the United States.
I think that just going on what Maria so summarized so well, I think the other thing is too is that the numbers were so shockingly low about what movies women were directing in our business. I think it was like 2% of studio films were directed by women, and that there are initiatives now such as Reframe and 50, yes, that focus in very specifically purely on the objective of creating more opportunities for women. And it's many things. It's meeting with executives and saying, when you submit a director's list to your financier, let's just have 50% of the list be women. To workshops and labs that look at, because a lot of times female filmmakers will make a brilliant first movie, and then there are years until they'll make their second movie. So what's creating that gap in terms of their output? And there'll be specific initiatives that focus on that. And then also, sometimes filmmakers have issues with financing and getting investors on their projects. So there are specific initiatives that will have female-focused projects directed and produced by women that will look for that kind of that will be enabled to get financing through these various forums as well. So I think it's not just saying, oh, we have to make the situation better. It's very specific initiatives that are geared towards looking at the problem and trying to create initiatives to solve it.
Maria, what do you think? What is the impact of social media?
The impact of social media
on the filmmaking industry as a whole?
I think social media has been a great tool to reach audiences, mainly. I think that's the biggest impact on social media, that social media has had on film.
And what about the artificial intelligence, impact of artificial intelligence on the
AI and VR and all of that? I don't think I'm qualified to talk about AI and VR. Although we do offer VR training in our program on Global Media Makers, we still don't offer any AI, but I don't think I'm qualified to hold a deep conversation.
Anyways, thank you, both of you, for this
Thank you.
conversation. It was really nice for me and for my audience to have your time in my show. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Nazrin, thank you very much. Nazrin, Maria and Alex, America जो filmmakers पंजो लॉस एंजलिस हॉलीवुड खां आयूं आहिनि. हॉलीवुड उन्हीं शहर में आ जंहिंखे लॉस एंजलिस चयो वञे थो, उतां उहो कमु कनि थियूं पियूं ऐं उन्हनि सां जेका गुफ़्तगू थी दुनिया जे अंदरि फिल्म मेकिंग जे अंदरि जेके नवां ट्रेंड्स आहिनि, जेके नवां मामला आहिनि ऐं उन्हनि जो जेको हिन वक़्तु प्रोजेक्ट हले थो, जंहिंमें प्रोजेक्ट में असां जहिड़नि इलाइक़नि असां जहिड़नि मुल्कनि जे अंदरि जेका फिल्म मेकिंग आहे उन्हनि खे हथी ॾियारण लाइ उन्हनि जो जेको प्रोजेक्ट आहे उन्ही जे हवाले सां गुफ़्तगू थी. प्रोग्राम जो वक़्तु पूरो थिए थो. पंहिंजे मेज़बान फयाज़ नाश खे इजाज़त सदाईं गॾु.